A lot of times our churches, we put off this facade that following Jesus is easy. You might hear some common problems like financial issues or things like that. But when real issues like depression or addiction or temptation for certain things come up, you'll hear the phrase, well, pray about it. Take it to Jesus. You hear things like that. The real issues aren't talked about. The real issues are ignored. But you know what? It's easy to talk about a basketball game when you're watching it on TV. But whenever you step out on a court and start playing basketball, it's a different story. The struggle gets real at that point. You see, following Jesus is easy when all you're doing is sitting in a pew or a seat inside of a building, hiding behind four walls. But when your foot hits pavement, that's when the struggle gets real. That's when life gets real. That's when faith gets tested. You see, Jesus doesn't call us to sit in a pew. He calls us to follow him. And here's the truth. The enemy, he won't mess with you if you're not a threat. Satan ain't going to come at you if all you're doing is sitting inside of a church because you're not doing ministry. He's not going to mess with you. So yeah, following Jesus is easy at that point. But when your foot hits pavement, when you step out into the real world, when you really start trying to follow Jesus outside the church and really start trying to do his work and follow his mission, that's when the enemy is going to start messing with you. That's when things like depression, addiction, temptation, that's when those things start entering your life. That's when the struggle gets real. And a lot of times our preachers make you feel like you're less of a Christian because you're dealing with addiction. Or because you're tempted to go out to a bar, because you're tempted to go to a casino. They make you feel less because sometimes, and this is the truth, praying comes hard. I've been a preacher for 25 years. And some days, praying, it's a struggle. Some days I have to force myself to talk to Jesus. My wife is a worship leader. But some days, worship comes hard for me. Some days it comes hard for her, and that's her calling. Some days me getting on here and trying to give a message to people, it's a struggle. Today, I've spent most of the day trying to pray, trying to get in the mood, trying to get myself in the right mindset and in the right heart to come and give a message. Because when you are following Jesus in the real world, the struggle becomes real. Because that is when Satan is going to come at you. That's when he's going to start attacking you. So if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with addiction, if you're dealing with any kind of temptation, don't feel like you're less of a Christian because you're having real life problems. All it means is that you're on the right path. You're trying to get your heart right. You're trying to follow Jesus. So yes, Satan is going to mess with you at that point because he's trying to stop you because you're trying to do something real. When you're hiding behind four walls and you're not really taking the message out into the real world, following Jesus is easy. Because it's easy to watch the game. But when your foot hits pavement, when you step out on that court, when you're really starting to try to do ministry, when you're really trying to follow Jesus, when you're trying to walk with him and actually be a true disciple, a true follower of Jesus, that's when it does get hard. Some days your hands don't go up easy. Some days those words just don't come out of your mouth and you have to force the prayers out. That's okay. It means you're human. It means you're really trying to follow Jesus because Satan is really trying to stop you. So stay encouraged. Stay strong. And if there's a day that comes that you really just can't get yourself to say that prayer to worship, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be there to help you. I'll help you raise your hand. I'll help you say the words that you just can't say. Because Jesus also calls us to stand together as a body of Christ. To be united. When you just can't find the way, feel free to reach out because you're not less of a Christian because of your struggle. It means you're a threat to the enemy. Stay strong. Keep pushing. And don't let the heretics and the Pharisees make you feel like you're less than them because you have real world problems. I promise you. You might be closer to Jesus than they are. Till next time. Be blessed.